countries of Ukraine and Moldova, and we have Turkey. And now I ask you, Arthur, how fast and which countries do you want to see in the European Union?
I want to see Ukraine in the European Union as soon as possible.
Very good.
I want
2027.
If we can
It's
get
the
it
plan
done, it
now.
would be great. Yes, let's do
The
it.
Austrian establishment and the Austrian media has heavily criticized the EU Commission for this proposal. Why?
I think, again, there are some very specific interests embedded in Austrian politics that are opposed to this. One of them is the agricultural sector. And I mean, you have to deal with this challenge, right? The Ukrainian agriculture is so much more productive than Austrian agriculture. They can produce at much lower prices, and they will drive many of our farmers out of business, if we are integrated. And that's just a fact. And I think that's where a lot of this skepticism comes from. And we know how strongly represented the farming interests are in the party of our chancellor. So it makes sense that there is some skepticism. But you have to address this. You have to find a solution. And obviously, we shouldn't let all of our farmers go out of business, right? So it's a huge challenge to work to integrate Ukrainian agriculture into the European Union in a way that allows the Austrian countryside to continue prospering. That's a problem we can solve, So I would suggest, rather than blocking everything, we actually work on a solution where Ukraine can be integrated and our farmers also can continue producing and live happily.
Very good. So you're in favor of Ukraine in the European Union. Moldova?
I think so too. I think Moldova is one of these states on the front line. They deal with the Russians constantly. They know actually how to defend the information space very effectively. They had a very successful election recently. We can learn a lot from them. I think they have, both countries have great potential and should be part of the European Union. I'm not sure about the details of Moldova by when it is possible, but the most important thing, and I think we constantly fail to do this, is to give hope to people, to give a perspective, have a plan, that people there fighting for freedom know that they're fighting, with hope, right? If we tell Ukrainians now that there's no prospect of them joining the EU, then imagine what that does to their motivation, enduring days and nights of constant Russian bombing. So we have to understand our responsibility. This European Union that we have created, this promise of peace and freedom and prosperity, it has immense power. And people cling on to it. People take risks because of this hope. And there's nothing we can change about that. Because we are doing well, because we are an exceptional place, we represent hope to people. And if we destroy that hope, it might be comfortable for a short time, because then maybe we don't have to do a difficult work of integrating countries into the European Union, but in the long term, it's going to destroy our security. Because right now, we have the power with this idea to transform dictatorships and corrupt countries under Russian influence, to transform them into allies and friends, just because of this idea of freedom. It's part of the drive, right? And if we lose this, then not soon thereafter we'll be surrounded by enemies again, and we don't want that.
Montenegro is fighting to be in the European Union as 28th member state in the year 2028.
Yeah.
Are you in favor?
Yeah, if they finish all the conditions and they are ready, then why not? Yeah.
They are long ready for that already.
You are the expert on this subject. Yeah, I don't know so much about Montenegro.
Albania,
they're also doing great work in their integration, right? They're also advancing.
Yes, absolutely.
They're advancing well.
They are ready.
And it's, as I said before, the danger is that this idea loses credibility, that people don't work against corruption, work against Russian influence, work against, foreign actors stationed in their territory. They stop doing that because they lose hope in their European path. If that happens, we will have shot ourselves in our own knee pretty badly, because then our neighbors will not be so nice to us anymore.
North Macedonia is waiting since 2005 as a EU candidate for membership. It's now 21 years EU candidate.
Yeah.
Should it not be in the EU?
What is the main reason they're not progressing in this process?
Because the EU...
Because of Austria?
Because Macron, I would say. Macron is complete failure.
Yeah, I think...
They have agreed on peace with the Greeks and with the Bulgarians, and they have accepted all the conditions. But then the Macron stabbed them in the back and blocked the enlargement in 2019, and also the Americans pushed them then into NATO. That was very good. They are NATO ally. But now the Bulgarians are making complications, and they have to put the Bulgarian minority into the constitution. And so the Macedonians are waiting, and they're calling for Arthur Kroen. Help us.
Yeah. I think to some extent, I can understand this idea that if your club becomes too large, you cannot make decisions anymore. But that's not a problem of these countries seeking to join the EU. It's a problem of the EU, right? That we have a structure where every member state has a veto, and everything goes very slowly. So in that structure, obviously, it's a valid argument to say if you accept too many countries into your club, you're kind of blocking yourself. But I think that's the wrong approach. We need a EU with institutions that can make decisions and incorporate new countries and grow the European Union and keep alive this European idea that has been so powerful in the last decade. So yes, I think they should join, but we also need to do the difficult work of creating institutions in Europe that are able to make decisions quickly and are not blocked by individual leaders.
Bosnia wants to join the European Union, and with Austrian help it became EU candidate country 2 years ago. But unfortunately, the Russians, the Serbs, and some in Bosnia from the Republika Srpska want to break Bosnia apart because they have this opportunity because we are so slow. Should we not include Bosnia faster?
Yeah, I think especially for Austria. I mean, we are totally exposed to this part of the world, right? We have strong relations. We are dependent on security and stability in the Balkans. It should be in our interest to create a prosperous Balkans that is integrated and stable and democratic, because it will benefit us directly. I mean, beginning from refugees all the way to our banks, insurance companies. I mean, it's baffling if, as you say, we are blocking this enlargement, because it kind of is one of long-standing national interest of Austria to have a stable and prosperous Balkans.
The Republic of Kosovo has celebrated 18 years of independence this week. It was very important. Austria was always a great supporter of Kosovo's independence and has facilitated actually this process successfully. But now we are a bit slow, and our guys get always medals from Vucic and from Serbia. And we are somehow attracted by the glamour of Belgrade and have lost the way in the support of the Republic of Kosovo. Kosovo wants to be in the European Union, and it's still only a potential candidate country. Is it not time to change that?
As I need to look at the details, but it would be great if Kosovo can be more integrated. Yeah, I don't know the specifics of what they have to do to qualify.
Some said countries have still not recognized Kosovo, like the said Russian-occupied Republic of Slovakia, even our friends in Romania.
Spain, I think, as well.
Spain is exporting its internal divisions and fragilities on the European level, as everything they see they recognize as Catalonia or the Basque Country, and then they are blocking everything else. It's a little bit astonishing for me, this level of arrogance from our Spanish friends.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on Kosovo, of course, but I saw the president speak in Alpbach, and I thought she was quite impressive, and she's
that's good.
A great
everybody should be.
Yes, she's a great communicator, and she is very vocal about being part of the sort of democratic alliance and part of the West.
Part of this West and democratic alliance, Serbia unfortunately is not. They're always choosing China, Russia, Iran as their great friends, and they're still pretending to want to join the European Union, and they are still not ready to recognize Kosovo and not to join NATO, and they are working with all the wrong people, and I'm heavily criticizing this situation. But still in Austria everybody says, oh, let's invite our Serb friends into the European Union, and what then?
But I think there's hope. I mean, there's this student movement in Serbia. They are fed up with this kleptocratic regime, and they are fed up with Russian influence, and they want democracy and prosperity. So this Europe is alive as an idea for many people. It gives people hope in Europe, and it's a great asset that we have to use because it creates allies for us and it creates friends.
The Serbian students, unfortunately, during Blokada have not shown a single European flag during their protests, and everybody in the world was waiting for that. But they were not ready for that because it was seemingly too controversial.
Yes, they're
in a
being strategic about it.
Russian-dominated,
Yeah,
yeah, I never liked this strategic thinking. I'm
I
for
can understand.
clarity.
Yes,
EU, NATO,
but it's
Euro.
good. It's good that this is happening, and it shows that there is energy, you know, for a better Serbia, and we should be happy about that. Yeah, I think.
The Turkish president has recently said that he wants to join the European Union, and I have rejected that and called only once he is gone. Under Ekrem Mehmetoglu, the guy he has actually jailed now. Turkey can ever think about joining the European Union. How do you think that we can integrate Turkey when the opposition leader is jailed and Mr. Erdogan has his complicated foreign policies adventures in Syria and everywhere?
Yeah. I mean, I think to be part of Europe, you have to first consider yourself European, right? You have to stand up and say, I'm European, you know, I'm part of this history. I believe in these values. I believe in this democracy, you know, I believe in rule of law. I am connected to the traditions and the history of this continent. And I don't really see this happening in Turkey. And if you don't do that, if you live by values totally opposed to ours, then integration obviously is very difficult. So I think Europe is a powerful idea, but it's not universal. You know, it requires attachment to this continent and a willingness to live by its values, its standards, and to defend it as well. And if you look at Turkey, I don't see any indication. I see very few indications of this happening. They are very close to Russia. I was in Istanbul airport. All the flights, you know, from there going to Russia. All the Russians in Austria going back home via Istanbul. I see, you know, what they're doing in the Middle East as well, and they see themselves as a middle power, you know, balancing out between different sides. It's hard for me to see them as a part of Europe. You know, it just
if they
feels
join,
very strange.
they must join fully, and that's also true for the United Kingdom. How is the debate in the United Kingdom? You're now living there for 2
Yeah.
years. Tell me, because I want them to rejoin and to adopt the euro, to join Schengen, and to be fully in 2029. This is my answer. Now, Mr. Keir Starmer prefers to go to China, and we even discuss about Canada joining potentially the European Union. But the debate about the UK rejoining the EU is not really picking up steam. And unfortunately, Nigel Farage is picking up steam, and we will most likely have the end of Keir Starmer and the Nigel Farage having to run the United Kingdom ever further away from the European Union. So don't you see the need to really convince the British to come back and to join the European project fully and help us with the costs of integrating Ukraine and the Balkans, and the stability has huge costs, obviously. And we could need the UK, which is such a vital power when it comes to defense and when it comes to political process in the world. But now they are not seemingly considering rejoining the European Union. Or what's your information, Arthur Kroen in Oxford?
I think it's a kind of absurd situation in the UK, because if you look at every opinion polling, there's a vast majority now believing that Brexit was a mistake. You know, most English people, British people, believe that Brexit was wrong, but there's no energy to reverse this decision. So these two things are there's no political energy or no political pressure to rejoin. It's very, very strange for me and very difficult to understand why so many people can understand, and they feel the problems. You know, they feel the economic problems. They feel all these things that Brexit has caused, and they understand it was a mistake. But the movement to rejoin is small. People are not energized. Actually, it's quite sad to see. I agree with you that the UK is vital for Europe, especially for security. I mean, with intelligence, also with the Navy, there's no European power that has the same kind of global reach. Also for Arctic security, they are vital, and we have to find ways to work together with them. But they need to get themselves to do this, and they need to get themselves to create this energy. I cannot. I mean, I'm not the British, right? But yeah, I think there are positive things happening. I think Starmer is making many right moves in regard to communicating more with the European Union, also restarting the Erasmus exchange, which I think is very important because it gets young people connected and creates a sort of European spirit, which I think is very important. Also in the coalition of the willing, these are all positive things, but I just don't see the drive for the UK rejoining Europe, and it's hard to understand. I think one reason is the political system, because they have these first past the post systems where one, like in America, one constituency votes for one member of parliament, and there are these swing constituencies in the north of England that the Labour Party depends on to win the election. And there's a contest between the right and the left for these constituencies, and these are all Brexit constituencies. So they are worried that if they make any steps towards rejoining, then they will lose these constituencies. So it's a kind of political
anyhow, because reform is certainly outperholing them now.
Yeah.
And Nigel Farage tries to present himself as the Meloni-style figure, who is a reasonable conservative, and I think Starmer is nowhere to be found, neither on the agenda, nor on the political setting, nor on the opinion polls. And so if he doesn't come with a good idea out of his head of political wonders, I think he will be going down in history as a one-term prime minister.
It's certainly looking like that. And there's reform, but I'm not sure if you've seen on the right of reform, there is now a new political party in the UK. Even worse, because they think reform is too far in the center, and it's a kind of Martin Sellner style remigration party, very dangerous.
That's my enemy.
But the positive thing, it's not him, it's another guy. I don't wanna promote them here now. But the positive thing is that this might divide, the vote for reform. Mm-hmm. This could be maybe some hope. But
I'm for rejoin. Welcome. Please, Arthur, focus on that in Oxford. Get your British friends to focus their energy.
We started a Europeanist society in Oxford, so we invite people from the European Union. Lucas Mandl also visited us. That's the first time I met him. Yes, so we have different MEPs coming, some European policymakers as well, and we try to have a pro-European debate in England, in Oxford, and people are really, really interested. So we get huge audiences coming and looking at these talks and these conversations. So there is some energy at least in Oxford.
Lucas had the power and the courage and the balls to call for rejoining, but maybe not. He's an Austrian politician, and
I'm not sure if he did that.
He
gave a good speech.
Oh, very good.
Yes,
best regards to him.
Yeah.
So let's come to the conclusion of our 2-hour sessions, where I ask Arthur Kroen about Taiwan, Ukraine, EU enlargement, free trade, and the future of the European Union, how to motivate the young people of Europe to be patriots for Europe, and then, of course, to build a stronger, prosperous Europe. What's your call? What's your conclusion? Where do you see the next years? How can we make Europe strong, successful, attractive? Again, in effect, actually it is, but how can we communicate it better in order to convince the young people to believe in this common dream of a united Europe?
Well, thank you so much, Günther. These were great 2 hours. I think to conclude, the world that we are looking at, or the future that we are looking at, is a very dangerous one. I think the world is getting colder, it's getting more difficult. There are great powers around that want to divide and destroy us. And there's only one option, for us Europeans if we want to advance, if we want to have progress, if we want to have hope and change, and that is Europe. We need to work together. We need to make sure also on the pro-European side, which I think is extremely, extremely important, I can't stress this enough, that we are more open, that we listen more, that we don't just post something on social media, but we have these long conversations. We sit down with people, we travel in our nation states, and we talk and we listen, so that we can articulate a European vision that is able to attract and include all Europeans. I think that's very, very, very important. I think the basic level is there. Everybody understands that Austria alone has no future, and Austria in Europe can be great and extremely prosperous, free and democratic. So we all know this. It's just where do you get the political pressure to reform the institutions we currently have, to become more effective, to become faster, to better address the needs of the people, to hear the voices of the people. That's the job we have to do. It's about opening up the European idea. It's about bringing new people in, and it's about working not just for protecting what we have, but to create a better Europe. I think Europe has to be the message for change, not the message of the status quo. I think that's what I would say. I think with this message, we can be successful together. And we at Europe follow on Instagram, YOUROPE. We at Europe try to do exactly that, work for that. And so far we've had great success, and I hope that much more is to come. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, much more will come. We have now had 2 hours of discussion for the future of Europe to revive the spirit of '94, of the referendum, where 66% of the Austrians voted yes to a European Austria. Some were basically not sure what to do. They voted against it, unfortunately, but it was such a benefit for Austria to join, to make us full Europeans. After the Cold War, we have won, and we could basically then join the European Union. But the big mistake we were not joining NATO, and so we were not feeling fully responsible. And I hope that things will change now with the generation of Arthur Kroen, the man who decided to go to the army to defend his country as a patriot, and then to campaign for a united Europe from Oxford to Ukraine. Thanks a lot that you came to this podcast, and all the best in your mission for a united Europe.
Thank you, Günther.
Thanks a lot. Welcome. Good.
Nice.
Nice.